To be honest, I didn't really quite know exactly who God was or what he was. We stopped going to church when I was about 10 years old, so I was young and didn't really have an idea of who exactly God was at that time. Well, I was a kind of child that didn't really like to listen to authority. By 12 years old, I was kind of going out for, a week at a time, staying at friends' houses, and never really got held accountable for it. By the time I hit 14 years old, I was gone for probably a week, maybe 2 weeks, and I came home from school one day and my house was empty. My parents had split up and both moved to different provinces, and I was kind of left there by myself. I didn't really have a steady place to live, so I stayed with my girlfriend and her parents sometimes, and then other times I would stay with a friend of mine that was selling drugs, and that's when my addiction started at 14. After that, it was just basically going from house to house, stuck in addiction, all the way up until I was about 24. Like, even those 10 years were a blur. Those 10 years flew by. Drinking and doing drugs, that was my thing, and I couldn't even stop doing it. When I was 24, I ended up going back to a job that I did have, and there was a foreman that I knew that he or his wife believed in God, and that's all I knew. But I just went there, not even searching for God. I just went there to see if I can get a job, see if I can get working. Told him that I lost everything in my addiction. I lost my girlfriend and my house and my vehicle, and I was kind of stuck with nothing. I had a bag of clothes, and that's all I had. But I remember walking into that place, and it was like, you could feel the love of God as soon as you walked into that house. There was worship music playing. They were cooking dinner. One of them was cooking dinner, and it was... you could just feel the love of God, but I didn't quite know exactly what that was yet. I just knew that it felt comfortable for the first time. It felt like what home should have felt like when I was a kid. And the wife, her name was Roberta, she walked up to me and she said, "Joe, we want to ask you to stay with us and to live here with us." That kind of started the journey a little bit. This is the first time in like 10 years that I felt like I'm a part of a family again. I'm a part of something. There's something here. There's something in these people. That's what I wanted. But soon after that family broke up. The husband ended up cheating on the wife, and they broke up, and I was left on my own again. And I walked out of that place with a couple bags of clothes. And it's like 10 years later, I'm walking out again on my own with just a couple bags of clothes. I didn't quite know if I even really wanted to live anymore. And I got a little bit of money, and I took that money and I just decided that I wanted to try to overdose myself. I woke up in the bathroom, and I was on the floor, and I was really hot, and things weren't looking good. And that's when I called my mom, and that was the first time, like one of the first times I talked to my mom after that many years of being apart. And just told her that I was really bad. I was stuck into an addiction I couldn't get out of, and I just about overdosed, or maybe I could have overdosed. I just kind of came to, and she was the first person I thought of to call. So that was 30 years old, and then I moved to Kelowna to go spend the time with my mom, to live with her, and to try to clean up my life. At the exact same time, I gained custody of he was 9 years old at the time. I gained custody of my son, and he came out to live with my mom with me in Kelowna. So that's where the journey of me becoming a full-time dad started, and to try to be a full-time dad, stuck in addiction, trying to stay clean, living with my mom. And it was kind of a new relationship between me and my mom. I still had a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, a lot of hurt towards her. And it was tough to stay clean. It was tough to know exactly what to do. I didn't really quite know exactly what to do as a dad, or even how to stay clean, how to live a sober life. It was all kind of new to me. I got married. I met a girl, and within 5 months of us being together, we decided to get married. She claimed that she knew God. She claimed that she loved Jesus, and that's what kind of drew me towards her, is maybe I can start this journey towards God with another woman. But I quickly learned after getting married that that wasn't the case. I went into Freedom's Door last year when I was 37 years old, and she supported it. But once I graduated from Freedom's Door, I left, and I ended up relapsing. And her and I talked about it, and she said, Joe, it's okay. Like, I married my best friend. I'm not going to leave you. This is something we could work through. And she told me that she was going to go visit her mom for the evening and that she would see me the next day. And I just had this feeling. I said, Megan, like, are you sure you're going to come back? Are you sure I can pick you up? And she said again, like, Joe looked at me straight in the eyes and grabbed my face and said, Joe, I love you. I'm not just going to walk out on you. You're my husband. I married my best friend. I couldn't be happier. And that was the last time I seen her, talk to her, even to this day. And that's when that abandonment thing happened again. And I blamed God for it. And that was my skewed view of God, where it was like, God, I went back into my addiction and I felt abandoned by God. I felt abandoned by my wife. I lost custody of my kids. I lost my house. I lost my job, and I lost everything that I owned within that first week. And again, I was back to having 2 bags of clothes. I felt like nobody cared. I felt like I was unlovable. I was incapable of love. I was incapable of being sober. I was incapable of living life. And I didn't want to live anymore. And so I took my first paycheck and I bought enough drugs in order to try to commit suicide and try to overdose myself. And I remember I was kind of in and out of consciousness, and that's when my phone started dinging. It was like Facebook messages, but I didn't even have the strength to grab my phone, nor did I care who was messaging me. And that was kind of like the last thing I remembered until I wake up. And when I woke up, I remember being angry with God and saying, God, why are you waking me up? Why did this happen? Why can't you just let me go? I'm sick of living this life. I'm sick of struggling with addiction. I'm sick of being abandoned. Just let me go. And I grabbed my phone and looked at these Facebook messages, and that's when I noticed that there was a girl, a lady from Africa, actually. Her name was Milka. And her message simply wrote, like, I know this is going to be weird for you, but I was in prayer last night and the name Joseph Doucet came to my head, and I didn't know who you were. So I Googled your name and I seen a picture of you, your Facebook on Google. And as soon as I seen your face, I knew that you're who I'm supposed to contact. And I want to let you know that Jesus isn't going to let you die. He wants to save your life. And he wants you to trust in him and only him. And he's got a plan for your life. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Yeah, it hit me hard. That's when I felt like I was actually loved by God. Like he actually cared. He actually heard my prayers. He heard my cries for help, and he was there to help. And the last 90 days has changed my faith. It's changed my life. It's changed my view on God. He showed me over these last 90 days that I am capable of love, and I am worthy of love. I'm worthy of being loved. I'm worthy of being sober. That skewed view of God that I had of being, a God that's upstairs just kind of pointing his finger at me and telling me how bad I'm doing was more just his way of guiding me towards his love and guiding me out of the situations I needed to be let out of, and I wouldn't leave them myself. And I felt like he closed that door on my marriage for a reason, because he had somebody better in store. But I'm starting to see that vision. I'm starting to see that where God is going to restore my life. He's going to restore everything that I've ever lost, whether it be with a new wife and new kids and a new house and a new job. But most importantly, it's like the love of God. That is the most important part that I've learned through this whole journey, is that he actually loves me. He actually cares. He actually hears prayers. Even though they feel like they go off into nowhere, he hears them. Jesus to me is a friend, but yet a loving father. He's like the dad that I never had. He's the loving, caring, compassionate, graceful, full of mercy, forgiving God that watches over me, that guides me, that leads me. And, like it says in the Bible, that he works all things for good for those who love him. And for me, my love for God has tremendously grown over the last little while. And I feel like he's starting to show me his goodness through that. And so for me, Jesus is the way. He's the way. He's the truth. He's the life. He's everything I've ever wanted, everything I've ever needed. He's everything to me. I want to be baptized because I feel that my view of God was so wrong for so long, and I want to publicly declare that I surrender my life and the outcomes of my life, the outcomes of every situation that I'm into His hands. And this is like a declaration to Him that I love Him and I surrender to Him.
Hi, my name is Marian Lively, and I've had the privilege to walk on this spiritual path with Joseph Doucet, and I'm honored today. He asked me to baptize him. Joe, you've been through so much pain and so much abandonment and so much addiction and struggle, and it says in the Bible that God will never leave or forsake you, and your testimony just shows that He never stopped pursuing you. And it's my privilege today, our privilege today, to baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.